Hello guys and welcome to this new Blender Grease Pencil updates on a new feature in the upcoming Blender 4.5. So this time we get geometry node tools for Grease Pencil. So previously, as you can see here, we used to use geometry nodes as modifier to create non-destructive effects like this flag effect or distortion effect. This is something similar to the noise modifier, but it is animated in time using this node called scene time, and it creates this beautiful rippling effect. But now we got a new way to use geometry nodes. We had them for other types of objects before, but it's new for Grease Pencil and it is node tools. As you can see in this drop down, we have the modifier mode here, and we can change to tool. And then to create a tool, we need to hit this new button here, and we have a new tool with these basic nodes, and we can populate it with our nodes here. We can also change the name of the tool. But what is a tool? A tool is just like any operator that we can execute in Blender on our objects, operators that we can find here, for example, in these menus. But here we can create our custom tools with geometry nodes. And the difference of node tools compared with modifier Geo Nodes is that they create a destructive effect on our objects. And yeah, both these two methods have their use cases, and this new mod will open the door for users to create their own custom tools and operators to manipulate their Grease Pencil strokes. So we created here our first basic tool, but now I will show you a tool that I made or adapted from my modifier. This will create a distortion in strokes. I named it distort here, and you see that we got a temporary menu here, and under it we can find our tool here or our new operator. If we execute it, we get a distortion on our Grease Pencil object. Let's do Ctrl Z. So see here that we have types, and when you create a tool while a Grease Pencil object is selected, the Grease Pencil type is selected automatically, and you can choose to use the tool with other types like a mesh, hair curves, or a point cloud. I have no idea what this is. And then we choose the mode, in which mode you want to execute the tool. Object mode, edit mode, sculpt mode, draw mode. You choose depending on what the tool does and how it works. And then we have this option to wait for click. If you check this, the tool won't be executed until you click on the viewport. So let's check it here and let's run our tool here. And see that nothing happens, and the cursor changed here, and when I click on the viewports, this is when the distortion happens. Let's do Ctrl Z again, and now let's go to edit mode and let's ask a question. What if we want to run this tool on a selection of strokes only? Let's try it. Yes, I still have the wait for click option, so yes, so it just ignores the selection and did it for the whole stroke. Let's do Ctrl Z. Let's disable wait for click. And now if we want the tool to take in consideration our selection, we need a new node. We need to go here to selection here in this node, set position, and left click here and get this wire out by dragging, and then release the mouse. And here we type select and we look for selection float. So for me, it worked. I don't know which one of these is better, but it worked with both of these, float or boolean. Now, if we try the tool again, you see that it worked on the selection only, which is what we wanted. So Ctrl Z. And now you see that we have in these nodes, we have a lot of sliders and a lot of values here. We can change these values to change how the effects will be on the strokes. But unlike with the modifiers, we can see in real time how the effect will be. So it's hard to tell before we execute the tool, and it's not practical to go back and forth between executing and then changing the values, doing Ctrl Z and trying again. And the best way to do it is to have a last operation menu, the menu that appears here with a lot of tools to be able to adjust our effects. And to do that, we need to find the values that we need. And here we need this one, the factor that will decide how strong the effect is. We need scale to change the size of the distortions, big arcs or small zigzagging arcs. And I will need also this value here to offset the effects and change its look without changing the scale or the factor. So to add these guys, we need this node here, group inputs, and this connector here. So let's connect this guy with the factor here, and we get our first last operation menu item. Then we will add scale. And here I need only the first value. To get it alone, I need a new node. So I will left click and drag here, release, and then type in combine and choose combine XYZ. So this node is made to combine these three values, but we used it to actually split these three values. So we can only add the X here. Nice. And I want to change the name to offset. So for that, I will summon this side menu N, and here group sockets it's called. I double click on X and change it to offset. And here we have a few options, float, all these to choose from, integer, and here we have minimum and maximum. We have a default value, we have a description if you want to describe what your slider does, and it will show up like this bubble here when you hover over your slider. You can type in, for example, offset the effect, enter. And now if we try again, let's select everything A and go here, this starts. Now we have a last operation menu, and if you hover over offset, you get the description that we got offsets the effect. So now we can change this. We can change the scale. The smaller the value, the bigger the arcs. And now it looks like a flag. And then the factor will get the effect stronger or weaker. Okay, so I guess this is it. Just do N here to hide the menu. If you want to learn more about node tools, I will link to a video in the description from the official Blender channel. And now how to add our tool in a real menu and not this temporary menu. For that, we need to turn it into an asset by going here to this icon, right click, and do mark as asset. So now you see these books here. And now we can go to the asset browser here, and let's go to unassigned here. So we have our tool here, our new tool, and see that we can't add a menu here, or it's called, I think, a asset catalog. So what we need to do is change here from all libraries to current file. And now I can add a new catalog, and I can name it, double click, name it, for example, custom tools. Enter, then go to the unassigned here, and then left click and drag to this new catalog. And now you see that the temporary menu is gone, and we have this new menu, custom tools. And you can of course put it inside one of these menus. For example, we choose stroke, so just change the name of this folder or catalog to stroke, enter, and now the menu disappeared, and we can find it here inside the stroke menu. We can also add it to a sub menu, for example, here to arrange, for example. So with this catalog, we go to the plus sign and we rename this one arrange, enter. We go back here and we drag to the new arrange menu. Now it's inside this menu. So again, stroke, arrange. For some reason, it created a new menu. So this didn't work for some reason. Never mind. And if you want to import a tool you made to another Blender file, you can go, for example, from this file, file, append, and go to the file where you created the tool. You double click on it and look for, node tree. Double click again and you find your node tree here or tool here, and you can append it to your files. This file you can find in a geometry nodes tree pack that I uploaded when geometry nodes were first added to Grease Pencil. It's on my Gumroad for free. It's in the description. And this one, you can also get it from my Gumroad. The link is in the description. It is also free, as in free Palestine. So thank you for watching. See you in another video. And as always, peace.